Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and we are here with our pre-match stream for the Everton-Arsenal game. Obviously, there's a lot to break down today. There's the team news, which I'll get onto straight, in a minute, and a number of other things. There's the 27 minutes for 27 years protest that's planned to go ahead and still is going ahead as far as I've heard. There's obviously the whole Rafa Benitez situation. Not saying we will, but ideally we need to win this, and he certainly does if he wants to relieve a little bit of pressure from the fans. And then there'll be the fallout from this, because I imagine if the protest goes well, then the way Monday Night Football works as well, and the pure pressure that will sort of boil and focus on, I imagine more fallout tomorrow. I mean, if the protest goes really well and Sky go really well on doubling down on it, I don't know. Realistically, I know who the protest is aimed at. It's aimed at the board, but I feel like Benitez will probably be the first one to bite the bullet before he starts looking at any more board members. Obviously, Marcel Brands was a little bit different because we've heard that was a bit of a disagreement. But I think it'll be quicker to, sack Benitez than anyone in the board. Just want to say hello to Semi. Nice to see you, mate, and the others that I'm sure will pop in and out of the chat as we go along. Like I said, we'll hit onto the team news, which should be out very, very soon. As soon as that's on the Everton Twitter, I will have a look at that. Obviously, currently, they've just put Benitez walking in and his team. It'd be interesting to see the team he goes for. I imagine Solomon Rondon up front. I'm going to be completely honest. I'm going to imagine Solomon Rondon will be up front. Although he did, I don't know if I don't know actually, because he did go off. He did pick up that injury, didn't he? So we'll have to wait and see on that. But if he's fit, he'll go with him. If not, I can imagine he's going to stick Richarlison up front, or I hope he does. If not, we might see Genk Tosun. I will say this: Genk Tosun's probably going to come back before the young lads play. He's already said he trusts experience, so don't expect like Ellis Sims or Dobbin to be playing today as starting, because it's not going to happen. Whether they get time later on in the match, I don't know. This was he's had games where he's had 3 strikers on the bench and not brought any of them on when we needed a goal. So, again, don't hold your breath. Cypher B's put Rafa out. Irwin has echoed that sentiment as well and said Benitez out. The bells are dawning, aren't they? I know Fahad Majiri's obviously come out in the past week and doubled down. Apparently, he's going to have control of recruitment. He's doubled down on it, but I remember him saying similar about Ronald Koeman and then sacking him a couple of days later. So we'll have to wait and see on that one. I will refresh because we should be having some team news soon. But yeah, I mean, we have got the lineup. It is Jordan Pickford in goal, Seamus Coleman, Michael Keane, Ben Godfrey, Yerry Mina. I take it Ben Godfrey's going to be at left back. There's no way sticking Yerry Mina at left back. Allen and Decore, and then there's Gray, Townsend, Gordon, Richarlison. Again, I imagine for whatever reason he's going to stick Gray at the cam role, Townsend out on the right, Gordon out on the left, and then Richarlison through the middle. The bench is Begovic, John Joe Kenny, Mason Holgate, Fabian Delph, Iwobi, Tosun, Gomez, Jabamin, Braithwaite. So no Dobbin, no Sims, no Tosun. Other than Tosun, there's no strikers on that bench. There's no real attack. Well, I guess you could count Iwobi as an attacking option. I'll let you guys in the stream make the jokes of that. Andre Gomez, he seems to be back in the fold. Braithwaite back in the fold. I think obviously this is because we've had to use a centre back at left back or whatever. It'd be interesting to see if any of them on the bench get games. I think Fabian Delph is the most realistic to get games, just because we've seen it before. And it's this stubbornness that I think many of us would agree could get Benitez in trouble. But we've seen it before where a two-man midfield's been overrun. Ideally, he should move to a three-man midfield. He doesn't do that. And, you know, it causes trouble. And then he brings Fabian Delph on. Now, that might be the case again, and we see history repeat itself where too little too late, and he brings Fabian Delph on to try and get some extra hold in midfield. You know, it could, we could see that. I have got the I'm waiting on the Arsenal lineup. I'm sure it's out, but I don't follow Arsenal on Twitter because why would I? But I'll find the Arsenal lineup as well, and we can sort of run through that. I think it's interesting that he's put Gray as a number 10 again. Obviously, no Digne is massive for us tonight. A massive loss. That really, really massive loss. And sort of plays into Arsenal's hands a little bit because it means Ben Godfrey's going to have a lot of work to do down that right-hand side of Arsenal. Arsenal's team is Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel Tierney, Partey, Xhaka, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Lacazette. I imagine that is in the 4-2-3-1 or 4-4-1-1 that he's been employing. Obviously, I think Arteta was playing a 4-3-3 at the start of the season. He changed his shape and went on a really good run. Saka's the one I'm a little bit worried about if he plays on that right-hand side. Ben Godfrey is going to have to keep his wits about him. Obviously, Ben Godfrey's quick. We all know that, but Saka is blistering. On their bench is Okonokwo, Holding, Cedric, Tarbes, Lokonga, Eleni, Pepe, Nketiah, and Bamiyang. So there is no Emil Smith-Rowe in there, which is good, really good for us. Obviously, there's still a couple of players in this Arsenal squad: Odegaard, Saka, and Bamiyang's having a rough time of it at the minute. But you could just tell he's going to come on and he could grab a goal. It's written in the stars, that type of. How many times have we seen it? A striker needs a goal, boom, goal. It happens way too often that we see that type of situation. Hopefully we don't see it, obviously, but we never know. Reading a couple more of your comments. Semi-Charles put Begovic to play up top. I mean, mate, we are getting slim pickings. If Richarlison or Tosin pick up injuries, I don't know how long Grondon's out for, but we're getting slim pickings again up front. Obviously, we're all the fans, Benitez. I think even Majiri and the board are all pinning our hopes on Calvert-Lewin. That's the one we're really pinning our hopes on. It's Dominic Calvert-Lewin coming back, so hopefully he's not too far away from coming back. Eugene McGeever's put Mina back in the Everton squad now. That is very good to see. I am really excited to see Yerry Mina back. I don't know if Benitez would have put him in straight away if it wasn't for Luca Dean getting injured. I don't think he would have. But it's nice to see Yerry Mina back, and I think that's why he's got two centre backs on the bench just in case, But yeah, I mean, it's very good to see Yerry Mina back. I think we miss him massively when he's not in the squad. Semi-Charles, but hopefully it's going to be a very Yerry Christmas for us. I hope so. I mean, the couple of good we could do with picking up a couple of good wins, maybe snatching something here. Bearing in mind it's at home. Palace, we got to be beating Palace really. In terms of if we don't, it's starting to look very bleak. They're the easier of the games we've got in this run. Even if it is at Selhurst Park, gotta be winning. Gotta be winning that. Livervid's put sorry, he won't be watching the game because of his asthma and stuff and his health issues. Yeah, I mean, mate, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, mate. It's a bit bleak. Obviously, I had Cal on the other day. Me and Cal were talking about this. It's a bit bleak at the minute for fans, which is why the protests come ahead. I think fans have just had enough, and are going to express their voices in the hope of change. Moz has put, all right, Connor, come on, you Blues. Nice to see you, mate. Yeah, hopefully, realistically, don't forget to let us know what score predictions you guys have got and what you'll take. I'll take a draw. And I don't think a draw is a bad prediction. I think we could probably snatch a 1-1 draw from these. It depends what Arsenal turn up, in all honesty. Sometimes I watch them and I think there's a bit of something in them. There's a bit of I like sort of a pattern. There's a bit of an identity in them. You know what Arteta's trying to play. And then other times I watch them and I think they sort of run around with their heads between their legs. So Arsenal are very hit and miss. Their run they went on, though, is very impressive. Obviously, they lost against Liverpool, but that was expected. They sort of try and play out from the back, and they can't do that against Liverpool. United, they lost against, but from what I gathered, I didn't watch the game, but I've got a friend friends who are United and Arsenal fans, and from what I gathered, Ronaldo sort of saved United a little bit, which again we've seen that before this season. So Arsenal, I think we've got to be respectful of them. I know that they are very hit and miss, hot and cold, but I wouldn't dare say we should be beating them in terms of quality, because it's a bit tough. Semi-Chards put in Dom we trust. Yeah, mate, we are all pinning our hopes on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, bless him. The poor lad. He's there doing his beard adverts and his Sky Monday Night Football, and the pressure that poor lad's got on his shoulders. Because obviously, he'll come back, but I think he'll be a little bit rusty just because he's, not played for a while. But we really need the ground running when he comes back. Philip Mason's put, didn't Jordan start out as a forward? Give him a go. Yeah, I mean, possibly, but Jordan who? Sorry, dear, I've got no idea which Jordan you're on about. Livervid's call me old-fashioned, but I never really liked the concept of directors of football. Rafa's tactics are baffling, but how many managers have come and gone on the brands? Just don't know what to think. I think that, the director of football sort of model is very interesting. I think it's become a lot more popular in the last couple of years. I think Leipzig did it really well, which Ragnick was in charge of as sporting director, sort of director of football. Michael Edwards at Liverpool does it very well, and Luis Campos at Lille, and when he was at Monaco, did it very well. I think it depends on a lot of it. I think it can work if you've got the right director of football and you've got the right environment for them. I think if you've got those two things, it can be wonderful. I think if one of those are off, so you've got the greatest environment but not a very good director of football, I'm going to say Steve Walsh, for example, or you've got a supposedly good director of football but not the right environment, aka Brands now, but obviously as more's come out since he's been let go, it's turned out he's not been allowed to fully do his job responsibilities, then I don't think they work very well. I think you need both elements to be working correctly. Otherwise, there is no point to it. And then the director of football should ideally do everything, not just the signings. They should help you build your identity. They should help get managers in that will suit your identity. Sort of like that. So for like the best example I always give is when Klopp goes, Liverpool will try and get somebody who plays high pressing football again, because that's what the team's built for. If Sean Dyche ever left Burnley, ideally should be getting in a man who plays quite pragmatic, hard, rough football, and is good at getting results that way, because that's what the team is. It's full of hard-working players. So you sort of, that sort of example, the managers need to be like Leipzig when they got rid of, when Nagelsmann left, they got Jesse Marsch, who's part of the Red Bull model anyway. He was at Salzburg, I believe. So, and then after that, they'll probably get somebody else in who's managed the current manager of Salzburg, and they do it all the time. That sort of mentality of like for like. And Philip Mason reckons 2-1. That's a great prediction, mate. I hope so. I really do hope so, mate. Let us know your goal scorers as well. I'll be interested to see where the goals are coming from. Semi-charged, but have you heard anything about Pepe being bought in? No, I've not seen the rumours for a while on him. I know obviously at one point we were heavily linked with him. I hope they die down. I hope so. I mean, on loan it wouldn't be awful, but realistically, Lille saw Arsenal coming a mile off when they signed him. I don't think Lille thought he was going to get the numbers he did again. And when Arsenal start offering silly amounts of money, you're not going to turn it down. Inky's put opinions on Gordon over Delph. I mean, it's good to see Gordon playing. I'd have probably stuck another man in the midfield though, so I'd have probably not saying Gordon necessarily, but he defo could have done with putting a third man in that midfield just to toughen it up. Because Arsenal are going to want as much possession as they can. Eugene's put, you watching the FA Cup third round tonight on ITV4? I'm probably not, man. I'm probably going to watch our game, depending on the results, cry myself to sleep, or be very happy and go to bed a happy boy. But I've got this horrible feel it'll be me crying myself to pick. Jordan Pickford got you onto. I'm on two now. Sorry, guys. I was a bit confused on which Jordan because it said up front. So I was like, Jordan. But yeah. Looking at it now. Livervid's put, thank you for your detailed explanation. Let's be honest, the dreaded R word was relegation. Now we have another one called Ron. Yeah, I don't know when. I genuinely don't know how long Rondon's out for. Foot Mob says that it's a hamstring injury and that he's not to be back till late December. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin, according to this, is meant to be back mid-December. So maybe by the time Rondon's fit, Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be back and will never be, Rondon's time in the first team will be gone. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. It'll be interesting as well, because I assume when Dominic Calvert-Lewin's back, Richarlison will go back into the number 10 sort of shadow striker role with DCL up front. Because I think Benitez is insistent on this 4-4-1-1. It's what he played when he was at Valencia. And he's a stubborn man. I'm not going to lie, he's a stubborn man. He will die on this sort of formation. Hence why, he's not put a third man in there. He knows the formation that he likes and he's going to insist on sticking with it come hell or high water. But yeah, I've got this feeling that Rondon could end up missing his chance. Inky reckons it's 3-2 to us. Richarlison, Gordon and Townsend. Smith Rowe and probably Gabriel. Smith Rowe's not playing, mate. He's I don't know what's up with him. I think he's picked up an injury. It says a knock, and he was doubtful, so he's not playing today, which is massive for us. It's a massive positive. I think that's a bit of good news. Obviously, we're missing Digne, and that's a really big loss for us. But there's a little bit of sort of silver lining in the fact that they don't have Smith Rowe and he's on form at the minute. Semi-Char reckons a 2-2 draw. I'd take a draw. I would happily take a draw, guys. Inky's put maybe Townsend's playing centre mid as opposed to more of a forward. And he'd take a point. Yeah, I think I'd take a point. It looks like Townsend, I don't know, maybe I get what you mean. Maybe Townsend's going to drop back in. It is something like this we've seen him do before where he drops back into centre mid. It means a lot of legwork if he wants him to play that number 10 and centre and then drop into centre mid on the defence. It means a lot of legwork for a man who's in his 30s, but he's a hard-working player, Townsend. That's something you've got to give him. So hopefully that sort of helps with the bodies in midfield. Because I think Arsenal will try their best to keep the ball, and I think we're going to aim to try and beat them, sort of break in between, hit them on the counter. Hence why Gordon and Gray out wide use their pace. Townsend probably as a sort of like outlet, as a pivot. And then Richarlison's runs, which is fantastic already. The fact we're playing Richarlison up front gives me a bit of hope because he will already run a lot more than Rondon will. So we will see a little bit more than just route one. Knock it to Gray. Gray runs down the wing, crosses it, in and nothing happens. Hopefully with Richarlison and the ability he has on the ball, we can play ground passes a little bit more, try and look for the through balls a little bit more instead of just whack it to the wings, cross it in the box, and repeat. It just gives us a little bit of difference, a little bit of a different option instead of rinsing and repeating. Knock it into the mixer. Moz has put, I was thinking 2 apiece. Yeah, I think this game's got goals in it. I certainly don't think it's going to be 0-0. Inky put Rondon could be back on Boxing Day. Well, that'd be a present for us all. I was going to say a great present, but be a present, won't it? Mason Pies put, what's the lineup saying, lads? I've got the lineup here for you, mate. I'll read it out again. We've got Jordan Pickford in goal, Seamus Coleman at right back, Yerry Mina and Michael Keane in the middle, Godfrey at left back, Anthony Gordon and Damari Gray on the flanks, Decore and Allen in the middle, and Josh Townsend looks to be occupying that number 10 role. And then we've got Richarlison up front. We were just saying, we think Inky made a good point of he thinks Townsend might drop into the centre mid in the defence. Seen it before, so it's, well in the realms of possibility. And then just in case you were wondering, mate, Arsenal's lineup is Ramsdale, Tomiyasu, White, Gabriel, Tierney, Xhaka, Partey, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, and Lacazette. No Aubameyang because he's been struggling. I think he's gone a number of games without a goal. I can't remember the exact, but he's on a bit of a goal drought. So when he comes off the bench, what's going to happen? Written in the stars, really. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that one. But yeah, I mean, I'd hope we've got enough to stay competitive. We've got Allen and Decore massively help us out. Although I think Allen, a couple of people I saw on Twitter were mentioning Allen seems a bit tired, and there is the argument that maybe he's being overplayed because we don't have the depth in there. You take Allen out, we have Shabamin, who I don't think he's ready yet. We have Fabian Delph, but he's not Allen, is he? And then obviously you got Decore. I mean, we have got centre mids. They're just not up to the level of Allen and Decore, and I think that's the issue. And they're not the same types of players. I wouldn't say Andre Gomez is anywhere near that to like those two. Fabian Delph and Shabamin, you could make an argument are more Allen molded, and Tom Davis, I guess you could argue is more Allen, as in recent years we've seen a bit more of him defensively than the box to box he looked like he was going to be when he first made his debut. But yeah, I mean, from the bench, our best attacking options, if we need them, Genk Tosin. I genuinely think we might see him tonight. Alex Iwobi, we're probably going to see. I think if we needed, we're probably going to see Iwobi, Gomez. If he was going to use all three, it'd be Iwobi, Gomez, and I think he'd bring on Fabian Delph, actually. I think if we're losing, he might stick on Tosin, but if we're winning or drawing, it'll be Iwobi, Delph, and then I think he'll bring on Gomez as well, just for just the bodies in midfield. Because Gomez could probably play that Townsend role and just drop it straight back into centre mid. Not so much the Cam, but just leave him at centre mid as one of the three. And then that would help sort of battle their overloading of the midfield. Inky's put lineup's pretty good. Bench looks like it's been washed up by the sea. Yeah, Inky's right. The actual lineup looks pretty good. We're obviously just missing Dominic Calvert-Lewin, and Luka Dean's not in the squad as well. But I think the main one is Luka Dean, and then Calvert-Lewin. That we all sort of knew Calvert-Lewin wasn't there. But once he comes back, that should be a lot better. It has come out, and obviously we've mentioned it there in the stream, but it has come out now that Luka Dean's not injured. Rafa Benitez has confirmed he's not injured. Rafa Benitez has just dropped him, our only left back at the club, and he's dropped him. Which, I mean, I'm reading this now as it's broke on our Twitter. At Everton news feed, the Toffee Blues on Twitter. The news comes, any Everton news comes on there. So go follow that if you're not already. But I imagine a lot of you guys are. But yeah, he's not injured. He's been dropped. I don't know if this has got something to do with the Athletic saying that, players were a bit upset about Benitez. One of them was saying, it was saying that a player feels like his style has been sort of damaged by Benitez's defensive mind. And a lot of fans have sort of assumed that that might be Luca Dean. I mean, speculation wise, obviously, that it is just that speculation. But the sort of, when you think about it, it makes more sense. And maybe that's another reason. Maybe Luca Dean's sort of in the mess of it all, had a pad, well, not a paddy, but as said, I don't agree with this. And now he's being punished. I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating, so don't take that as gospel. But the fact that we've dropped him and he's not injured is silly. Not only is he our only fit left back at the club, but he's a good left back. I know he's struggling this season, but he's still a very good left back. And more worryingly is that it leaves us now, if this goes wrong tonight, it leaves Fahad Mashiri, who's just come out and as of a week, 2 days, 3 days ago, and backed the manager again. It now leaves him in a really tough spot. Of the fans are turning quite sour to the thought of Benitez. The players are turning sour to it. The director of football has walked over it. Does he continue to back him and then the players are the next ones to go on a mass exodus? Or does he just realise that this man isn't the right man for the job? I don't know. But it's going to leave Mashiri with a lot of decisions to make. The director of football sort of argument over Benitez and Brands walking over that sort of hill was, I thought was a bit of a shocker for us and a bit of a big deal because it leaves us without a director of football. But if you've got star players, and Luca Dean is a star player, I know he's not had the season that he's sort of set the standard for, but he is still one of our star players. If our star players are starting to sort of have that feeling, it's not good. It's not good. And we can't if it goes wrong tonight, and one of the reasons it goes wrong is because Godfrey maybe is caught out of his depth at left back. That's on Benitez, completely and utterly on Benitez. No excuse, no injuries, no nothing. That's completely on him. It's brave. It's really brave from Benitez. Either brave or just cockiness on the fact that he knows Mashiri's come out and backed him. But if he did his history, he'd know that Ronald Koeman was backed before being sacked publicly. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on Digne being dropped. Now that we know it's not an injury, it's really boggled my mind. I can't quite understand I can't understand the decision that's been made there, and I hope it doesn't end up leaving with some of our best players sort of leaving the club, because that would be horrific for us. And more worryingly, we don't have a director of football now to bring anyone in. So for all we know, it's Rafa Benitez, and he could end up signing anyone. He could end up signing anyone. It's just, yeah. I mean, I let me know your thoughts, guys, and I'll read them out as I always do, and we'll have a little chat about them, and what's you're thinking behind it. I literally cannot understand that though. I mean, even if you don't like Luca Dean, or you don't like what he's come out and said, or whatever, or whatever. Beggars can't be choosers, and the current situation with our squad, he really can't be fussy over who he plays, and he's our only left back. And like I said, the worry is if Luca Dean goes, who's he gonna get? He's in charge of recruitment. We could see him buying some. I've got this horrible feeling by someone like Matt Ritchie and stick him at left back. Or some absolute randomer that he's had before that hasn't worked out. A bit like the Longstaff sort of obsession he's got going on. But yeah, I'll read your comments out now, though, as I'm sure many of you have a few opinions on this. James Brinkley's put, I know Digne isn't having his best run, but I'd argue Keane should have been dropped over him and have Godfrey Mina as I think that's the best pairing. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Godfrey Mina is our best pairing. I think Mina has the physical dominant, and I think Ben Godfrey has the speed and ability to make up for Yerry Mina's lack of speed. Although saying that, I always hear this. Someone made a great example of saying this, where like he doesn't run fast, Mina, but like he obviously is quite mobile. He just doesn't look it. But Godfrey would make, has that pace, and I don't think Mina is as quick as Godfrey. I think we all know that. So they sort of match up quite well. Holly Fletcher's worried about Martinelli against Seamus. Yeah, it's a little bit of a worry as well. Obviously, he had Mo Salah to deal with in the last game, and Mo Salah gave him the runaround. And Martinelli is quite possible to giving him the same runaround. Gavin Cunningham's put Coleman, Keane, Townsend starting. Another loss then, Rafa out. Looking at the lineup today, mate, and now that we've learned that Digne has just been dropped, I think that's a sentiment that if this goes wrong will be echoed, along with many other sentiments around Goodison Park and on social media. Eugene's put, I think Everton need a good FA Cup run in January. 100%. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near the European spots. I know we've dropped down the table, but me and Paul were saying the other day, it's not the despair yet, because the table's still quite close. But I mean, realistically, I said 10th to 12th at the start of the season. I stick with it. I think we'll get there. We need a good FA Cup run. We need really an FA Cup. We need a cup win, really. And a good FA Cup run would sort of get the fans back on side and not write the season off in February. So if we can get a good FA Cup run in, that'd be brilliant. Otherwise, February is basically our end of the season. Moz has put Rondon full of Christmas dinner. That's exactly what we need on Boxing Day. Yeah. I don't think we'll see much of a difference in the ability. Gavin Cunningham's put Keane has been our worst defender all year. Why not drop him? I don't know why he's dropped Luca Dean at all. Philip Mason's put he's been off form recently. Hopefully a break may help. I get that sort of sentiment, but it does mean playing a centre back at left back again now. I get that sentiment if we had if Nkunku hadn't gone out on or maybe not Nkunku. But like, if we had a second left back at the club, I'd sort of get that sentiment a little bit more. I just don't think we're in the position to be picky about positions like left back and leaving people out. We've got no other left back at the club. At least, with the right back situation, not that anyone wants it, but we have got John Joe Kenny, who's a natural right back. We've got no natural left backs. Eugene's put, are you happy with the FA Cup draw? Everton are playing away at Hull City. Yeah. I mean, I'd have liked an easier team, a little bit lower, but yeah, I'm happy with Hull City. I'm not going to say anything. No, I'm not going to say, oh yeah, it's an easy fixture or anything silly like that, because we learned in the Capital One, the Carabao Cup, that's there's no easy teams when Everton's where Everton are involved. But I'm glad it's not a Premier League club, obviously. Gavin's put Arsenal's team looks miles better than ours on paper. The only way we beat these is set plays. Yeah, I'm not going to bank on set pieces, though. I'm not going to bank on us with set pieces. Moss has put Iwobi for the Ballon d'Or. Dennis Quillard, I'm going to pronounce that as, or Quaylard, has put, apologies if I've said that wrong. Really, I'm sorry about it. Anyone there from Mashiri's coming to the game? Supposedly is in attendance tonight. Again, I don't know for sure yet, but supposedly he is. I hope he is. I feel like at the derby, he sort of dodged the bullet a little bit when the angle was being vented. I hope he's there to see the protest and how well that, or how that goes. And if people don't go and it ends up being a bad result, at least then he will hear the boos of Goodison Park as well. I felt like him being in America during the derby and not down there in the director's box, he avoided a lot of criticism, and for all the good he brings a club in terms of the money in the new stadium, he's not completely blameless. There is a lot that falls on his head as well, and a lot of responsibility Majiri has to take in this as well. The stadium is fantastic and the money's fantastic, and it's all we've ever wanted is a billionaire with a bit of money so we could spend. But that doesn't mean that we can overlook the shortcomings from him as well as the rest. Philip Mason's but Eugene, we have to play someone, mate. They're decent side, so hope for the best. Yeah. Semi's put Digne is in poor form. When you talk about players that might not be fighting for the shirt and badge. I mean, he's in poor form, but I've heard rumours that he's been asked to be a lot more defensive this year, and Luca Dean is not his defensive game is not his strongest. It's attacking, and he makes up for it. And if if you're going to tell him to not play it to his strengths, he's going to struggle. Eugene's put there is going to be a protest with Everton fans. Yeah, there's a 27 minutes for 27 years. So at 27 minutes, fans will get up, will either leave and go down to the concourse and come back at half time, or they will just leave the stadium altogether. How many actually do this? We don't know. And we don't know if they're going to leave or just go down, and come back up. We don't know any of that yet, but it is a protest. It's been planned. It's been going around social media. If you've been on Twitter, you'll see quite a lot of it on Twitter, in the hope that it shakes up a bit of change at the club. Crimson's put, all right, Connor, what's happening? Going to leave for a game in a minute. All the best, mate. I obviously hope we win. I hope you enjoy the experience. I hope you enjoy it as well. I hope we win, and have a good time, mate. James Brinkley's put Digne is our least of our problems, out of form, and isn't not that there's easily 3 players in the team worse than him. Or not, there's easily 3 players in the team. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree with what James is saying. Like, he's not our worst player by a mile. And he's our only natural left back. So, Semi's put, so when do players start taking some responsibility? Free pass for Luca D. Oh no, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that players get a free pass. There's players in that team that have seen off a lot of managers, and they don't get a free pass either. Which is why the recruitment's come under, because we're looking at players now that have seen out a couple of managers. I don't think anyone gets a free pass here, but I think with Luca Dean, we're sort of seeing, he has been asked to be a little bit more defensive. It's not his strongest point. I like him. I think he's still one of our key players. I think we'd be considerably weaker without him, even if he is having a bad season. And I think under the right manager or the right tactics, we'd see a better Luca Dean. But I do agree, players don't get a free pass. If you perform poorly, you perform poorly. And he has been a little bit off, and he takes responsibility as well as Benitez for that. I'm not, no one gets a free pass here, I don't think, this season. I think fans are very aware that nobody's going to get the free pass, nor should they. So, Mitchell Bolson's put smell a win and missed all the chaos. Really think we'll qualify. I hope so, mate. I hope so. That would be, that'd be so, it would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I mean, in all of this, negativity and animosity and angst, a win would really help shine a bright light at the minute that I think fans need. I think the players need it a little bit as well. God knows the board and the manager need a little bit of light. So I think, hopefully if and it'd be so Everton, wouldn't it, all going wrong to go out there against Arsenal and pick up a win. James Brinkley's put, I'm thinking of a washed up Coleman, very mistake prone Keane, and Iwobi being the bigger problems in the squad, and Gordon's got no goals or assists either. Yeah, there are a couple of other players that, I mean, Gordon, I don't know. I'm not going to. Gordon's a young lad. I don't want to, do that. But there are some more experienced players that you'd expect better of, that haven't been performing yet to the standard that we expect them to, and that needs to change. And that's on them as well as the manager. It's 50-50. Semi's put a point, and it's fair, but don't subscribe to it. Digne can't be above being dropped. Oh no, yeah, no, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. Like, if we had another left back at the club, I'd be completely, I'd be completely open to that sort of, drop him, let the message be told. I just think it's 50-50 on the tactics and Digne. That you can have great players under a bad setup that don't perform, that go and perform better under better setups. But nobody is above being dropped. But when you've got no other left back at the club, then it sort of leaves. If this goes wrong tonight and Godfrey can't cope, then we don't look at this Luca Dean thing in the night, in an hour, 2 hours time, going, he was still right. We will. The majority of fans will look at it and go, that's what happens when you don't play a left back. And then it's hindsight 2020. In 2 hours we could be saying, oh yeah, he's right, or we could be saying what an awful mistake that was. That will be, nails in the coffin and all that. It's a hindsight 2020 sort of thing, but it is brave by him. As Dennis has said here, very, very brave. Could see Digne taking being dropped badly. Could be an exodus of good players in the summer. I'm hoping not, but I do feel like if not him, I feel like Richarlison, someone will come sniffing for him again in the summer. Maybe PSG, because it's rumoured that Mbappe is going to jump to Madrid. They will look for another striker slash winger, and ideally they'd like someone a little bit young. Richarlison suits that. They're in the Champions League. Richarlison's obviously got dreams of playing there. He'll play with Neymar, who he's quite close with, and he must look at Neymar almost a bit like looking up to him. So you wouldn't be surprised if that type of move turns his head. And the other one is Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Arsenal are sniffing after him. United were at one point. I don't know if Ragnick likes the look of him or not, but I wouldn't be surprised if United start sniffing about again. We'll have to wait and see what the summer holds, but I'm a little bit worried that some players are going to have their heads turned in the summer, and that's going to be a bit tough for us, especially if we don't have the right recruitment in place to replace these players. Semi's put that Godfrey can play there, and about people chatting about people not fighting for the badge. Digne might be like, not right. He might be, and there is no one player above the club. And I know Godfrey can play there, but he's not a natural left back, and he's not naturally left-footed. And if you're going to play the left-hand side of the field, you ideally, especially at left back, you'd ideally like to be left-footed. That's all I'm saying. Like, Godfrey's not left-footed. I watched John Joe Kenny play when he played there, and he's not left-footed, and that was painful. Godfrey will slightly struggle in that aspect. But I do agree with what you're saying. No one's above the club. And Digne might be in that camp. He might be. But it also might be that he's one of the players that said, I don't like how this tactic is. It's too defensive and it's holding me back. We don't know. It's hindsight. All I'm saying is it's a very brave move to drop your only left back. And, for a game that is still must win. I know some people might not think it's winnable, but it is ideally a must win. We need points on the board at this point. Gavin's put Digne drop before Michael Keane's a joke. Rafa out. James Brinkley's put I can see better players leaving, being sold to raise funds for cheaper Benitez style squad, similar to what he had at Newcastle. To be honest, no confidence in it at all. Really worrying times. Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, though, I had it up before. Because I was trying to see, what sort of players he liked in the past. Because he does have his favourites. Rafa, he does. Rondon's a prime example of that. He does have his all reliables, all trusty players. And at Newcastle, he did spend a lot of, obviously he said he wasn't getting money and stuff, but he did spend a fair bit of money at his time at Newcastle. It's not like he didn't buy anyone. He did have a number of players come in and out that door, which is, some of them big money for the players that I'm going to read out. A prime example here is 10 million for Dwight Gale. I don't think even back then in 2016 I'd have thought that's an all right price. Almiron was 21. These are all in like similar year. Well, Almiron was in 2019. In 2016, now he brought Gale and Ritchie. In 17, he brought Jacob Murphy for 10. He did spend money. All right, maybe not as much money as he'd like, but he did spend money. And if we're going to get rid of, Dominic Calvert-Lewin and replace him with a Dwight Gale type player, then it puts the club in a bit of a worrying situation. That would sort of make me a bit nervous about the next season. And I think with that type of a team, we wouldn't be pushing for the European spots, which is what we all hope for every year. And every year we sort of hope for that. Semi's put Michael Keane's inconsistent, but can put in a performance. I think if you're going to drop Digne, though, I do agree that Michael Keane at times should have been dropped, certainly earlier on in the season, and wasn't. Which argues he stuck with Keane. and Keane cost us goals. Gavin put it here. He has at the start of the season. He did cost us a lot of goals and a lot of games from his mistakes. Uh, Gavin said Rafa brought in Rondon and Townsend, both rubbish. Now he wants Ramsey and a 30-plus-year-old. Yeah, I'm not keen on. I don't know if that's him or Michelle or the owner. I'm not keen on this. Some of the ages of the players we're looking at. The Ramsey's one of them. Eden Hazard's another one. Eden Hazard's injuries are awful, awful. I don't know. I don't watch a lot of Spanish football, so I'm not gonna say he's done. He's past it. I know he gets a lot of injuries though. And for whatever one good game he puts in, he'll be out for 4, maybe even a month. So and he'll come on big wages, and people had that sort of problem with James Rodriguez. They said, "Oh, what's the point? He's on big wages. He's out every 4 games." Eden Hazard will be no different to that, if not longer, because Eden Hazard's injury list is normally quite long injuries. It's not a couple of games; it's normally a couple of weeks. Reading a couple more of these. Yeah, Semi has agreed that if we had someone else, that'd be better. Yeah, I completely agree, mate. If we had someone else, that'd be a lot better. If we had, do you know what? Yeah, an Nkunku or anyone, just a left back, just a natural left back as a backup, that would be a bit better, and I could swallow that a little bit easier. It is just the fact that we've not got a natural left back, which makes me wonder why we let Nkunku out. I'm not saying that he's the option, that he's would come in and do as good of a job, because I think he's a bit young and naive still. But he naturally is in that position, and it's not like we had left backs, to sort of divvy around. We had only Luca Dean in the summer, and we still let him go. It seemed a bit short sighted. Semi's put Luca Dean's a left back and can't play defensively. It's your first due. Yeah, but I mean he can play defensively, but it's not his strongest point. It's a bit like the prime example is Trent. Every so often, Trent's not very good defensively. He's a lot better going forward, and nobody says Trent makes up for it in the way he goes forward, which is where I guess the poor performance from Digne comes from. If he was whacking in crosses and assists every game, people wouldn't notice it as much. But yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like some fullbacks in the modern day are expected to be better going forward than they are defensively. We see it quite a bit. Not all of them. There are still some good full. Wan-Bissaka, for example, I think is a lot better defensively than he is going forward. So he does his first duty correct. Yeah, all you ever see is him get slandered because he doesn't provide enough support as a fullback. Just to throw it on the other end, when someone does do their first duty properly, they also get slandered for not going far enough forward. And Wan-Bissaka for United gets that quite a bit, I've noticed. Daniel's put things will change when DCL is back. Yeah. I mean, I think we're all in agreement here that Dominic Calvert-Lewin will make a difference. I think we're all pinning a lot of hopes on the poor lad, but he's the number 9, and he seems like a well level-headed lad. He'll know the expectation. I don't know if you saw him on Monday Night Football. He was very good on that. He impressed me a lot with his media handling. I was really impressed with the way he speaks. He's just seems like a really well-leveled lad. Who's not going to let his head run wild with him. So we'll have to wait and see. Semi's put Dom's a quality striker, holds the ball up well, great in the air, target man, gets on the end of everything. Just not the most naturally born finisher. Yeah, I must admit I want Calvert-Lewin back because, like Semi said, it's not just the goals. He contributes a lot to how we build up. And we notice this under Ancelotti as well, and now under Rafa. But when Dominic Calvert-Lewin isn't on the team, we still seem to try and play the same way, which is hit the long balls and sort of hope that the man up top gets on the end of it. They're not as good at that as Calvert-Lewin is. So naturally, we're doing it and the ball comes straight back down to us because there's no one up there to hold it up. He's not the most naturally born finisher in the world. I agree with that as well. I think his one-on-ones could do with a little bit of improving sometimes, but he constantly is learning. He's a lot better now than he was 2 seasons ago when we were saying he works hard, but he just doesn't score goals. Now he's trying to add goals. And for the way we try and play with our crosses, we're trying to get in the box. Dominic Calvert-Lewin is a really good header of the ball. Really, really good header of the ball. And when you're watching Damari Gray whipping it into Rondon every week and it just not working, you look at it then and then you really appreciate Dominic Calvert-Lewin because you go, Dom would have scored that. Dom would have scored that. He'd have scored that. And then that's when you start to really appreciate that type of player a lot more, when you've got a striker who isn't doing it. But yeah, Paul Badger's put there've been a lot more poor performances than Digne. Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. I think if you're going to drop, unfortunately, we've not got the squad depth to drop everyone either. I mean, I will say this, and I think Semi would agree with this. Digne isn't the only one, but we definitely don't have the depth to be dropping everyone. Otherwise, you could go to an argument of there'd only be like 2 players left in the squad if we were dropping everyone. We just not got that type of depth to be rotating that much. Semi's put it is a bit of a gamble to turn the reins entirely over to Rafa. Yeah, it is. It's obviously sacking your director of football here or there. Clubs do that. Not getting one in though and letting your manager run the roost and Majiri run the roost is a massive gamble. Obviously, it's come out that Brands didn't want a Wobie, and that supposedly was all Majiri. So if that's what we're going to do. Tosun was a Majiri transfer rumouredly as well because he watched Besiktas versus Monaco. We just got to be careful. It's stuff like that will end up ruining us, buying players that the owners give the eye test to after one game, or that the director of football saying don't do. Even if we got in, for instance, I like Luis Campos. I really like him. I think he's a fantastic director of football. In my dream world, he'd be our director of football. I don't know if he'd do a good job at us under the current environment, unfortunately. In a dream world, if he was given the reins and trusted properly, I think he'd do wonders for us and I think he'd improve us massively. But I don't think anyone we get in, if we do get a director of football in, will be allowed to do their job fully, because I think there's too many people at Everton that want to say in who we sign, and they're not all singing off the same hymn sheet. Me, Cal, Paul have all said this on the channel. There's too many people singing from different hymn sheets, and you're never going to harmonise with with all those voices singing off different things. Gavin's Paul's, but I don't agree. Whoever the manager is, give them control so they're accountable. But if we do that, Paul, we've got the same problem of if we do that and Benitez goes in the summer now, and say now he lasts the summer firstly, and he goes and he buys all Benitez signings, and then come next December we're in the same position again, and Majiri looks at it now and goes, "No, you've had a summer, you've bought whoever you want. You shouldn't be down here. You're gone." A new man comes in. And he looks at it and he goes, right, they're all Benitez players and I don't like any of them. That's why you shouldn't, ideally, this is why your director of football should sort of pick the style, sign players to suit the style, have managers that suit the style and play the style, and then work on it like that. Otherwise, you will just have riff-raff from every other manager. And then, which we're sort of seeing now, there's some players that we keep hearing going, it's not his fault, they're the previous manager's players. If you did that and let the manager have full, I get what you say about the accountability, but if you let the manager sign whoever they want, we will never hear the end of they're not his players, and we will be stuck with players that nobody wants, and we will struggle to get rid of them because they were brought in by one man for one man specifically. I think the way modern football is, I think a director of football is needed, but he needs to do his job properly and be allowed to. Gavin's put Coleman and Keane have been our worst 2 this season. I think James Coleman's sort of stuck out. I feel really, me and Cal were saying he's been hung out a bit to dry. Really, we should have had a right back. We should have had a right back in the summer. Should have had a right back in the summer before that. Should have had a right back in the summer before that. Ideally, when Sidibe was playing regularly at right back for us on loan, that was when we really should have been like, God, we really do need a left back this summer. And that was like what 3 years ago now that Sidibe was there. 3 years, no right back, and now the left back slot's in just as worse condition, if not worse, actually, because at least you've got John Joe Kenny, Mason Holgate can play out wide on the right. I mean, we've got Luca Dean, then we've just got makeshifts of Fabian Delph, and again Fabian Delph won't bomb up and down the line, or Godfrey, who can play there, like Semi said, and Godfrey will bomb up and down that line more than Fabian Delph will. But again, if Godfrey's going down that line, he's not naturally left-footed. There's going to come a point where he's going to have to turn onto his stronger foot, or he does attempt it with his left foot, and it won't be as good as his strongest foot, and then could lead to him, either bumbling the ball, drizzling it out, it's sort of that sort of situation, isn't it? Semi's put Godfrey's not played well either. Yeah, no, he's had a bit of a tough season, but obviously he got COVID, didn't he? Apparently, and it was quite bad. So obviously he's recovering now. Hopefully we see him back to his. I think we're slowly seeing him come back to a better form though. But I do agree, we've not. There's like we've been saying, there's. If you're going to drop every player that's not been performing as well as they should be, I would argue we'd have Decore and Damari Gray currently. I think they're the only two players that I hand on heart. Allen Allen sometimes I think's brilliant. Sometimes I think he's not brilliant, but sometimes I think he struggles a little bit. They're the only two regular performances this season that I could go, yeah, they hand on. I think Pickford at times has been good, but like Allen, Decore and Gray are the two real standouts that have performed for me regularly to a similar standard. Everton fan KGB has put DCL is a long ball escape. We need him. Yeah, that's unless we change the style we're playing at, we can't keep playing the same style without him because it's just not working. Gavin's put all the players we've been linked with this summer will end up going to Leicester, West Ham, Villa, Newcastle before us. Rafa bringing mates in. And I'm a bit worried that we're going to miss out. Obviously, Luis Diaz we were linked with last season. He's not coming to us now, 100%. Porto, he's having a great season at Porto. Porto are well preparing for a big money bid from him. For him, he's not coming to us. He's going somewhere else. I don't think he'll go to those teams. Maybe Newcastle because they've got the money. Maybe they'll. I don't know. I think he's going to go to a European team before he comes to not the Prem. To be completely honest with you. I can see a couple of the European teams trying to pick it in, and I think it'll go there, which is tough because he was good last year, but like this year his numbers are really up. It's so Everton that we missed out on him, and now he's having the season of his life. It was a bit like Dumfries before the Euros, and he went out and had a really good Euros, and you're like, Semi's put like Digne Sadiba was good going forward, but absolutely roasted for not being good enough. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a common thing with fullbacks nowadays, to be honest. Like I said, Wan-Bissaka gets stick for the entire complete opposite. He gets stick for not going forward enough. So it's a constant conundrum, isn't it? A fullback. He's also put fair enough. We can't drop it exactly, mate. We can't just play with Decore and Gray, unfortunately. So that's another problem at the club. I'm going to end the stream now though, just because it's 5 minutes before kickoff, so it gives any of you guys time to go watch the match, set it up or whatever. Gives me time to go run downstairs, make a cup of tea before the game. But thank you for everyone that's commented and enjoyed it. It's been a good conversation. I've enjoyed it. Don't forget to like the stream as well. Massively helps me and the channel, and just it's nice, it's nice to see. But yeah, once again, thank you for commenting. It's been great to discuss with you guys. Gavin, Semi, and a couple of others that have commented regularly. It's been nice to chat with you guys and get your thoughts and feelings on everything. And hopefully we'll see a win tonight for us. If not, whatever happens, I think it'll be an entertaining and interesting night. But yeah, all the best, Blues. Take care. Don't forget as well, if you're watching this on YouTube, comment down below your thoughts, feelings, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and if you want any of your Everton merchandise, links in the description. Toffee Blues have got their own Christmas jumpers. They look fantastic. Yerry Mina's on one of them. It looks brilliant. Get that for Christmas. And we've signed up with Retro Score kits. So don't forget to check them out as well. There's some nice Everton kits. And take care.